Hi, today I have a mail haul, a mail haul that made me very happy. The first two books are for March Mystery Madness, and I'll, if I can find it, leave a link to the announcement for March Mystery Madness down below. First, with a very appropriate title, we have 5 by Ursula P. Archer, and this is translated from German by Jamie Lee Searle. A woman is found murdered. Tattooed on her feet is a strange combination of numbers and letters. Map coordinates the start of a sinister treasure hunt by a twisted killer. Detective Beatrice Caspari must risk all she has to uncover the killer in a terrifying game of cat and mouse. The numbers there. A bigger book than I was expecting. It's 436 pages. Hopefully I'll be able to read this in the month of March. Next we have The Big Four by Agatha Christie. This is the 5th book in the Hercule Poirot series. I've read the first 2 books of the Hercule Poirot series, Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile. I really loved Murder on the Orient Express, but I think that's partly because of the movie, the Kenneth Branagh movie that came out recently. I think Death on the Nile is maybe coming out this year, but I'm not exactly certain of that. The next 2 books are fantasy books. First we have The Summer Tree by Guy Gabriel Kay, and this is book 1 of the Fiona Var tapestry. I'm not exactly sure how many books are in the Fiona Var tapestry, but I have 2 already. I have book 2 here with me. A really beautiful cover that is sort of a bit like a tapestry. And kind of like The Sleeping Dragon by Joel Rosenberg, this has characters from the real world transported to a mythical fantasy world. It all began with a lecture that introduced 5 university students to a man who could change their lives, a wizard who could take them from Earth to the heart of the first of all worlds, Fiona Var, and take them Lauren Silvercloak did, for the need of Fiona Var and all the worlds was great indeed. So, looks really interesting. I'll get into this right away. That's a map there. Also has a list of characters. Quite a big list, actually. The next fantasy book is The Dark Moon by Julia Gray. This is book 1 of the Guardian cycle. I have book 2 in one of my book towers there. I think the Guardian cycle has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, so I'll need another 3 more if I want to complete the Guardian cycle. I really love that front cover. Really great fantasy cover. Landscape there. And the last book of the mail haul for today is The Young Guard by Alexander Fadiev. And the reason I got this is another thing where War Thunder's to blame. War Thunder is I believe it's a MMO, massive multiplayer online game, which I have not actually played, but I've seen a lot of videos of it here on YouTube, and you can play as, it's mostly World War II airplanes, tanks, and naval boats, and you can play as a number of countries, Germans, British, and also the Soviets. And it's actually, I find it's actually quite hard to come across Soviet literature. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I think maybe translation. It must be very hard to translate from the Russian. But this does look very interesting. And this is book one. I think there's maybe 2 books. And it has illustrations, black and white illustrations. Sounds quite interesting. This novel is based on fact. In July 1942, German troops seized the town of Krasnodon in the Ukraine, and this was at once followed by an unending wave of arrests and executions of civilians. In Krasnodon, as everywhere else in occupied territory, the Nazis came up against resistance from the people. A communist underground group, actively supported by the population, prevented the Nazis from establishing the much vaunted Hitlerite New Order in Krasnodon. Young people took part in the struggle against the invaders. Nearly 100 young men and girls, all members of the Komsomol, joined the Young Guard organization, and the world soon learned of their immortal deeds. Alexander Fadiev, 1901 to 1956, a leading Soviet author whose popular novels about the Civil War of 1919-1920 in Siberia, The Route, and The Last of the Udagi won him fame, went to Krasnodon as soon as the Ukraine was liberated. On the basis of documents and interviews, he wrote this novel, which may be described as a monument to the courage, valour, and deathless heroism of Soviet young people. And it has a photo. Excuse me, my voice is going there. Photo of Alexander Fadiev, very Russian looking. This is an library book. I got all these books from Better World Books. I think they're my favourite bookseller. Well worth checking out. They do quite a bit of charitable work in various sectors. I think a number of these books are former library books, and they do really good low prices. I've got, I would say, most of my manga from Better World Books. Well worth checking out. I'm expecting one more, The Reluctant Swordsman by Hal Duncan, and thanks to Rajathon for that suggestion. That's coming from America, so I'm not too sure when that will arrive. But I've been made very happy. Hope you enjoyed that mail haul for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.